Yeah, I guess my most memorable interview I've ever done, the one I'll never forget, it just emblazoned in my mind. I was 21 years old. I just got a job in Austin, Texas, and I didn't even know where Austin was located. I go down there and I'm on the job for 2 weeks, and they send me down to San Antonio to cover the Chicago Bulls against the San Antonio Spurs. And that was at the height of the Michael Jordan era when he was winning championships. And he was like a legend. He was like everyone's idol as a basketball fan. I walk into the locker room, and little to my knowledge, I'd gone in after the media session was over. I wasn't even allowed in the locker room. So I'm sitting there with a camera in hand, because I was a one-man band, and a microphone, and they're all looking at me going, look at this idiot. And Michael Jordan's sitting about 12 feet away from me. I'll never forget it. And he's staring at me, and he's sort of laughing. And the media guy says, hey, you got to get out of here, kid. But Michael knew that I had missed the media session. You could tell he knew what was going on. And he said, I'll let him do his interview. And he let me interview him right there. And it was even after it was all said and done. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It's such a cool moment for him and for me. I'll never forget it. That was the epitome. That's what I knew. Wow, I'm in the biz.
Okay, so my first question is just, what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Vic Lombardi. Full name is Vittorio Giuseppe Rocco Lombardi, and I am a sportscaster in Denver, Colorado. When I was a kid, I didn't know how to speak English until I was 7, 8 years old, because I'm the son of Italian immigrants, and we spoke Italian at home. And I remember turning on the television when I was a kid, watching sports and watching sports casts, and I said, man, that is so cool. I knew I wanted to do something with sports, and I knew early on that it probably wasn't going to be good enough physically to be an athlete, so the next best thing, I wanted to talk sports. And I think 8th grade, when I was in 8th grade, is the year I knew that I wanted to be a television sportscaster. Before I even got to high school, I wanted to get into television. It was just a matter of how I wanted to do it and where specifically I wanted to do it. So by the time I got to college, and I knew which road I wanted to take, then I just honed sort of my passion and figured out, okay, I want to be a local sportscaster in my hometown in Denver. So it was probably around college when I decided, let's try and find a path back from college all the way back home and do television sports in Denver. I've been at Altitude Sports since 2016, so we're going on 7 years now, and I was there, I think the year that the Broncos won their last Super Bowls when I started.
Is that one of the best defenses you've ever seen?
You know, our defense is incredible. What they've done all year long is truly
That was
special.
Super Bowl 50. Before that, I was with CBS, Channel 4 here in town for about 17, 18 years. So I was always at local television until I made the move to Altitude. Favorite part of my job is the fact that every single day is different. There is nothing at all about this job that is, oh boy, the dredges of the same thing every day.
But I walk in and here's this kid. And I'm like, who is this kid? And what is this kid doing? And then Vic pulls out he's filming me.
Yeah.
Why? Because
Because Vic's turned into Von Miller and Russell Wilson. He has his own guy following him around now.
I'm Prime. You absolutely are Coach Prime right now. Anyway, hi Andrew. Welcome to the program. We'll try to ignore the kid in the corner.
Well, we were doing a pretty good job until you
actually brought it
Well,
out.
because the kid was stalking me from behind. It was weird, man.
It's a creative job, right? So creativity is what sparks you, and it's what runs the show. So the more creative you are, the better the product. And you just never know what's going to happen in the world of sports. Every day there's something that happens, and every game is different, and you don't know the results of the game. That's why we watch, that's why we play, and that's why I'm in the business. I think the public doesn't understand how much stuff does not get used. Like when you do interviews, like this interview you're doing now, you'll probably use the extent of it, but sometimes you will interview an athlete or a coach for 30 minutes and use 30 seconds. And the rest of it is on the cutting room floor that's never seen by anybody. Because a lot of times what you're trying to get is a story. And some of the story is boring, but a little portion of that story is really entertaining or really meaningful, that really thoughtful, that sparks the audience. And that's the part you put on the air. Not everything makes the broadcast. there are countless interviews. There's so much work entailed in trying to get the best out of your interview subject, but only the best makes the air. The most challenging part of the job, I think, is the travel. There's a lot of traveling involved, especially when you get to the pro sports level, going to games out of town. A lot of times just spending countless hours at airports. That's challenging. The other part is, having to wait on interviews and dealing with the waiting that goes on. There's a lot of waiting. You set up an interview and then you wait around. You set up an interview, you wait around. You hope to get interviewed, then you don't get one. So there's a lot of things in this job that people see the final product on television, but to put that final product together takes a lot of time. Man, we've had so many technological advancements over the last 20 years. It's been like light years since I started. I mean, again, when I first started this business, I wrote my scripts on a typewriter, and we had to scotch tape our scripts together and roll our own prompters using a little rotary thing. Today, everything's done digitally. The internet and the use of computer interfacing changed everything. And every 5 years, it seems, there's a new invention. Not only the internet, but then you brought in social media, which has changed the way you accumulate and distribute information. Before, maybe you wait for the 10 o'clock news to get some updates on your local teams. Well, no, those updates are in your phone now. It's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's on social media. So technology has changed the game entirely. It's changed the way the information is distributed and processed. I'm not sure how much more technology is out there. I'm sure something will come along. Something will come along to the point where it makes us expendable. There are different ways to measure accomplishments. I think the grandest accomplishment is just to be able to come home and work in my hometown, which was the goal from the very beginning. I mean, when I was your age, I dreamed of coming home and being a sportscaster in Denver, and I got there. So I've already fulfilled those dreams. Everything else you get, awards, honors, I've won some Emmys, I've done all that. That's material. That's very subjective. Somebody else votes on that. But for me, it's just being able to work here and do what I've always wanted to do. That's the biggest award.